Basically, I want to show you how to make a really good soulful classic sample that sounds like it's lifted straight from the 70s, and then you can use that to sample in any way you want. So let's dive straight into it. We're going to be starting off with an electric piano in Analog Lab. I use this as the base for any sample I'm making. You can always change it to a normal piano or a different sound afterwards if you want, but it just sounds so like luscious and smooth and sultry, which makes it perfect to make a base for any soulful type of track. We're working at 81 beats per minute, and I'm going to start off by recording some chords in 7ths, 9ths, things like that. A good key to work in is F sharp minor, and that's taking inspiration from like the Isley Brothers. If you want to listen to Footsteps in the Dark, Between the Sheets. So what I like to do is the root note in my left hand as the bass. So we go down an octave and then complete the 7th in the next octave up. And I always mention this, if you're using a Rhodes, you want to play it quite softly so that you get like the right sound. If you play it too hard, it can start to sound a bit distorted and not so good. So then with the left hand, let's just work out the next note and then we can complete the chord from there. Let's go down. D major 7. B minor 7 is pretty good. Let's just record it in and then we can fiddle about with it if we need to. I think that's pretty good. Now we can make this a bit more complex. We can add in some like passing chords. So a little variation like that is all you need just to spice it up a bit. By the way, if you struggle with chord progressions and making them from scratch, I've got the perfect thing for you. This is my Chord Chronicles MIDI progression kit. It's super cheap, only $5. Check it out, link will be down in the description. It's got a bunch of different chord progressions in different genres that you can just drag and drop. They're really good like foundations for making a whole vibe out of. So check it out if you need help with that. So now we've got the first progression going, the foundation for everything. Let's just do the usual thing, which is to duplicate this layer. We'll leave the chords as is and we'll find a new sound to use. So you can use something like a clavinet, an organ. I like to do a bit of group processing just to further get the vibe ready. So RC20, I think, goes without saying, this is always the best thing to use. So this one, Flanger Soul Master, we've got the noise, distortion, wobble, bit of everything. Next up, I'm going to do a guitar. Now, you can use a real guitar like I'm going to do, or if you can't play guitar, just use a good VST. You can use Analog Lab. There are good sounds these days. So I've got this preset in guitar rig that I've made from scratch called Footsteps in the Dark. But let's just play some guitar and see if we can get something really cool to go as a melody on top of this. So basically what I'm trying to do is come up with like a riff that's easy to keep playing on loop. And obviously it has to sound good as well and fit in with the overall chord progression. Okay, we're going to stick with that for now simply because it's been a good 20 minutes of me trying to come up with that melody. And we're going to duplicate the guitar layer now and do just something a bit more subtle. I want to do like a bit of a picking pattern, and that will just add a bit more to the overall grand scheme of things, hopefully. So now that we've done the main foundation of the beat, we've got the Rhodes, the organ, 2 layers of guitar. We want to start adding in more interesting melodic phrases and accents. And that can be things like clavinet, glockenspiel, horns, strings, random Foley sounds. This is what's going to really make this like pop and stand out and be unique. So we're just going to look through this Analog Lab Bank by Kavi. It's really good for these sort of vintage vibes. The key with this is going to be like subtlety, so let's just vibe out a bit. So we just pick through the bits that work. And what I like to do is just really take out a lot of the frequencies, both high and low. So little things like that, just really subtle. They don't have to be perfectly played. They can be a little bit quirky, if that makes sense. So just like with the guitar, there's a lot of trial and error trying to get things that fit in and don't change the emotion of the track. Like you've got a vibe down from the beginning, and usually you want to try and keep that story the same throughout. It'd be weird if you're like watching an action and it suddenly turns to a comedy. So now what I want to do is a bass. A bass guitar is pretty much the only way to go here. And we just want to do something that's really soft and subtle, but it just adds more depth to everything. So a few different ways to do this. First is like the easy octave way, which is basically playing a note and jumping between the octaves of that note. The second option is just to play around with your scale. So we know that we are in F sharp minor. Stick to the chord progression, but the walking notes are just messing around in that scale. Another thing to keep in mind is we've got strums in the guitar, and you need the bass to like complement that. If it's not really grooving with the strums of that guitar, everything will sound a bit messy. So we've got a few varied options here. I think the octave one is best. Now we want to go into like texture sounds, Foley sounds, really subtle, really background. This is where you want to get like weird with it in terms of the sounds you use. So little things like that, what I do is turn the reverb up, EQ out all sorts of frequencies. So it's almost like a little perk sound. We're just going to duplicate it like that, and it's so low that it's barely noticeable. Cool, I think we're sounding pretty good. The only things I really want to do is just one more overall group processing to everything. So we just put a mix bus on shape box. It just brings everything to life, I find. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, you don't really need to do too much else to it. So just for jokes, I'll export this as is, throw on a beat, and see if we can turn it into an actual good hip hop track. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see another video where I make a sample from scratch similar to this and then turn it into a G-Funk beat, check out this video here. Otherwise, have a good one. Peace out.